Nicholas Weber, Offset Public Defender, on behalf of with Mr. Wheeler. He does appear on video. We do consent to remote court hearings.
Mr. Wheeler, good morning, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
You have the right to appear in person with your attorney. Are you going to give up that right and appear by way of audio and video conferencing today?
Yes.
Are you doing so voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. So is that the status this morning with respect to issue of competency? There's been a report filed. Is there any dispute about that report? Of the findings of the report?
Not from the people, Judge.
Defense does not object to the second evaluation indicating that Mr. Wheeler is competent to proceed.
All right. Then the court will adopt the findings and conclusions of the mental health evaluations and find that Mr. Wheeler is currently competent to proceed in this case. So how do we wish to proceed at this point?
Your Honor, I did talk to Mr. Wheeler briefly this morning. He has indicated that he no longer wants my representation and wants to proceed pro se in this case.
Okay. Has there been an arraignment in this case yet, or an arraignment date yet?
There has not been, Judge.
Yeah, it was his preliminary hearing was preserved in 4C, and he's still entitled.
Based on what? Is this a provision in the statute that gives him a PH for this offense?
I believe so.
Your Honor, it's the people's position that he is not entitled as to count 2. I'm looking as to count 1 right now.
How many counts are there? I thought I was just being charged with 1 count of assault on a second-degree assault on a peace officer.
So, Judge, I believe with the peace officer assaults that they are not entitled to preliminary hearing. This is the issue that we briefly addressed last week with Ms. Unger. The way that they are classified, they're not mandatory in terms of Department of Corrections, and they also don't fall under the crime of violence definitions. And so it's my position that neither of those charges are PH eligible at this time.
So, Mr. Wheeler, currently the court's appointed the Office of the Public Defender on your behalf, but you say that you don't want that to represent you?
With my discussion with Nick Weber, I spoke about getting advisory counsel, that I would like to go pro se with an assistant who knows the law.
All right. Well, Mr. Wheeler, there is a lengthy advice that I need to give you prior to, and certainly you get the right. You have the right to have a lawyer. You're not required to have a lawyer. But before I can find that you waived the right to a lawyer, there's a lengthy advice that I need to give you. And I want to do it both in writing and in person. And so I'm going to set this for an arraignment date. And you can appear on that date. We can, prior to that date, you can read the written advisements, make sure that you fully understand the implications of waiving your right to counsel. You and I can then discuss it in person, and then if that's your desire, we'll proceed accordingly, okay?
Okay, so if I hear you correctly, that eventually we're going to have to meet in a courtroom and discuss the options?
Yeah. No, well, that's not entirely true. If you want to waive your right to an attorney, you can do so, right? It's an important decision, and it's a decision that you have to make knowingly, voluntarily, and intelligently, understanding all the implications. So, before you can waive your right, you have to understand the entirety of your right. And so there's a written advisement form which explains those in detail to you, which I want you to be able to read before making this important decision. I want to give you a chance to read that advisement form over, and then you and I will talk about it. And then after doing so, you choose to waive your right to an attorney, then we'll proceed in that fashion. If you change your mind, we'll proceed in that fashion. But I just want to make sure that you fully understand all the implications of going without an attorney. Make sense?
That does make sense. I have a couple of questions. One was, would I be able to get Nick Weber's notes pertaining to my case? And the other question just sprung on me. So I am no longer legally entitled to a preliminary hearing.
And Judge, I apologize for the interruption, but Mr. Luxon pointed out that I might be reading one of the subsections incorrectly, and so I believe that there is a PH eligibility in this case, and I wanted to correct that for the board.
Okay. So the answer to your second question, Mr. Wheeler, is we'll set this for a preliminary hearing, and that's going to be in person. And prior to doing the preliminary hearing, we're going to go through the advisement. And if you wish to waive your right to attorney at that point, after that advisement, then you'll proceed to preliminary hearing on count number 1 without counsel. If you change your mind, we'll make sure you have counsel. Okay?
Alrighty, so if I'm understanding this correctly, what comes first? The preliminary hearing or me and you talking about not having a lawyer?
Me and you talking about not having a lawyer. Because if you choose to waive your right to an attorney, then you'll do the PH without an attorney. You'll be your own lawyer. If you change your mind, we'll make sure that you have a lawyer for that preliminary hearing.
Will I be allowed advisory counsel for the preliminary hearing?
You don't have a right to advisory counsel. That's a matter within my discretion, and right now I don't know if I'll appoint one or not. That's part of our discussion, sir.
Okay. When will that discussion take place?
How about Wednesday, March 24th?
I'm going in my Google Calendar right now just to make sure. Wednesday, March 24th?
Wednesday, March 24th at 8:30.
And that is, I show up in person at the courtroom, not video.
Right. And the reason I'm doing this, sir, is because this is a really important decision. And I want to be able to look you in the face and we just have a, eye-to-eye conversation about this, so that you understand all the implications of what you're doing.
Will Mr. Weber be present?
Weber?
And Your Honor, that was actually a question that I have. I am not available on the March 24th, but I could do Wednesday, March 17th. If the court would like me to be there either on video or in person, I'm happy to do either.
Okay, so March 17th, and Mr. Weber, I'd like to have Mr. Weber here.
Certainly.
So what will happen, Mr. Wheeler, is this. On March 17th, we will have a conversation about whether you want to waive your right to a lawyer. Mr. Weber will be there and will be there to answer any questions you have about anything. And if you choose to waive your right to an attorney, you will be able to proceed without one. If you change your mind, you'll certainly have Mr. Weber there to assist you as the case proceeds, okay?
Advisory court date.
Excuse me?
I was putting it in my calendar, so it's saved for Wednesday, which is St. Patrick's Day, at 8:30 a.m.
That's right.
All right, and it's an advisory court date. That's what I put in my calendar.
Well, it's for, I'm going to advise you as to your right to counsel. And if you waive your right to counsel, then we'll set you for a PH.
Lindsay Flanagan Courthouse. And that is at the Lindsay Flanagan?
Yes, sir, question 5A.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And before you leave, Mr. Wheeler, I want to make sure we get that advisement form to you before you get here so you have a full chance to read it without having us breathe down your neck, okay?
All right.
Is that something, Mr. Weber, you could help us with to get that advisement form to Mr. Wheeler?
I believe I have Mr. Wheeler's. Let me just make sure I have his email address.
AmazingAwesomenicity@gmail.com.
Right, and did you, Mr. Wheeler, you were able to get my email earlier this week?
What day did that happen?
I'm not sure, but I have that email address. If the court forwards me the advisement form, I'm happy to forward that to Mr. Wheeler's email address.
appreciate your help in that respect, Mr. Weber.
Certainly, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, so Mr. Wheeler, we'll see you March 17th, 8:30 in person, and we'll have that discussion, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
And you're next, I'm ready to call Russell.
Happy fuck the cops!
Alrighty, well, there we go. 11 minutes in. I guess there were 3 names of judges there.